Janet is a really short-statured woman, barely 5 feet tall. She would be easily overlooked in a crowd if she weren't so beautiful and perfectly shaped. Sometimes I call her my fairy pixie. She shines with energy and positive enthusiasm. Her face actually glows, and her eyes sparkle with happiness. All our 22 years of married life have been filled with her sparkle and tireless work raising our 2 now young adult children. She can be witchy, meaning she wants her way regardless, but we usually talk it through and then she gets her way. I understand what it is all about. We have shared joys and sorrows together. Our lives are so intertwined that I can't even think of life without her. She tells me the same, and I have always believed her until, well, that's all about this story. I find myself in southwest England, helping a fellow general practitioner in his practice. I'll be here another 11 months until my 1-year contract runs out. Through friends, I found out that Great Britain was recruiting international physicians for its National Health Service. This opportunity provided me with the perfect retreat from reality and space for my cheating wife. At 44, the same age as my wife, I still have lots of life ahead of me. Life alone possibly, if not alone, then certainly life terribly disrupted by events that recently came to my attention. I had a small cottage, typical English countryside, and only a quarter-mile from the office I worked in. I could walk or bicycle to work. My salary was adequate, and the working conditions were perfect for me. I had plenty of English-style social life, which I rather enjoyed. When folks found out that I was estranged and in a divorce proceeding, I was amazed at the number of truly cute and vivacious young women who were interested in my social well-being. As of right now, I limit my social life to group activities, which included a few double dates, and I haven't even kissed any lassie yet. I really didn't want to. I wanted my wife back big time. My heart ached for the time before I became aware of her cheating. Words cannot express the emptiness of life within and around me without my Janet. That is, without my exclusive Janet. It was her revelation that she was sharing her body with her young lover that drove me away. It was her demand that I allow her to continue that I could not handle. Yes, she wanted to continue to be married to me. Nothing had changed in her behavior toward me. It was when I discovered her ongoing affair and the depth of its emotional nature that I left her and my marriage. Well before all this, I had given up my private practice because of the administrative problems caused by cheating HMOs and giant insurance companies. Among other things, I had taken to being a locum tenens physician. This allowed me to frequently be at home during otherwise normal working hours. Sometimes I would work in an emergency room for a weekend, making enough for a week's income in 2 12-hour shifts. All without any administrative junk except keeping up my license, CME, and malpractice insurance. When our second son left home for college, Janet wanted to go back to work. That was fine with me. She wanted to be useful and earn some income. Also, she said she wanted to find a challenge in life and work to make a success. For 4 years, we had had separate bank accounts. That way, each of us could have our checkbooks whenever we wanted. We each had our own separate credit cards. Also, for the past 3 years since Janet had been working, she put her salary into her own checking account and paid her own credit card. For many years, Janet had paid all our bills, whether mine or hers. They were always ours until she got a job and a separate credit card. Now we had my bills, which were things like taxes, insurance, utility bills, home loan payments, food bills, and gasoline. My income went exclusively into my account, and her income into her account. Then there were her bills. These were for her cosmetics, clothing, and her credit cards. I never bothered to look at her bank statements or credit cards. I trusted her, and she never asked me for money anymore. As a result of our both working, even with the kids' college expenses, we began to put more money away for retirement in our separate IRAs. Other than our separate income and expenses, we continued to share everything in common. Our sex life was vanilla and not frequent enough for me, but I had no real complaints. She was still energetic in bed, but we had decreased frequency to not even twice a week. Sometimes she wanted me to do things that I just couldn't do. She wanted me to play dom and sub with her. When she told me what it was, I just couldn't do it. I felt like I would be humiliating her. After a couple of times of pillow talking about it, we just dropped the subject. It all sounded so kinky to me. Calling one master or slave was degrading to me. I discounted this to just normal fantasy stuff. Janet worked for a large group of physicians. This group was a major off-campus site for medical students and even residents to take preceptorships. As a result, medical trainees were frequently in the office attached to different doctors. My wife worked as a nurse for two of the family physicians in the group. She had frequent contact with medical students and residents in training. I got home early from work one afternoon while Janet was still at work. As I drove in, I got the mail from the mailbox along with the daily paper. Usually, Janet does this. That way, the mail and paper are sorted out and ready for me to read when I get home. After getting a Diet Coke and a handful of animal crackers, I settled in on my lounge chair to read the mail. In the mail was her statement from her private credit card bank. For no particular reason, I opened it. Perhaps I was looking for one of the numerous, sometimes interesting commercial offers for unneeded trinkets that accompany the payment due statement. I perused her short list of bills. One caught my eye. It was a bill from a local third-rank motel for a one-day charge. I looked again and saw a series of dates and charges for the same motel. I had no idea what this was all about. I got up to go to my den to check my work calendar. The charges were all on Wednesdays of last month. I gasped. As I then checked my day planner, I had been in town every one of those days, working in an emergency room on a noon to midnight second coverage shift. Janet had also not left town. She had been home. When I arrived shortly after midnight every early Thursday morning, something in my gut squeezed down on me. I could not think of a reason for these bills other than sinister infidelity happenings. Never in my worst nightmares could this scenario occur. Yet here it was, staring me in the face. The statement mocked me as if laughing at my trust in my wife. My first reaction was to look to see if this was only last month. I knew where she kept her statements. In a desk drawer in the master bedroom. She made no special effort to hide these. I guess that helped my trusting her. I had no reason to look at them and therefore had not done so before. Her drawer, where she kept the past statements, was my next stop. She obviously trusted me not to look at her statements as they were neatly filed and easily accessible. In the second left drawer, I got out the previous month's statement. Yes, every week there was a bill from the motel. Usually it was a Wednesday, but not always. I compared the dates with my work calendar, and each was when I was either out of town overnight or working until midnight. Finding the month previous, I verified that there were another 4 weekly bills from the same motel. I went back to the January statement some 8 months ago. There, to my dismay and horror, were 3 weekly bills from the very same motel. Also, there was a bill from a 4-star restaurant for over $100 meals and alcoholic beverages itemized. I was sure that I had not eaten there with her. The bill was too large for just one person, so she had paid for at least 2 people's dinner. I had a pattern of bills at a motel. Janet had not told me anything about these. I had no reason to question her until now, as I knew nothing about them. Tonight, I was going to confront her and get an explanation. I put everything back in place and went to my den and computer to try to make sense of all this. Already, I knew the answer but had to get her to verify it. I had to make plans immediately and set about doing the needed. I got my suitcases from the attic, along with 2 closed bags. I put these in my bedroom closet. As I figured, last night was my last night in this house with her. I ordered pizza and salad to be delivered. The table was set with our good china and real silverware, along with candles and wine glasses. I straightened up the great room and cleaned the kitchen. My nervous actions allowed me to do something with my hands while my heart and mind raced in 1,000 directions. My perfect life had come to a crushing end. My trust had been misplaced. I wondered for how long this had been going on. The who and why overwhelmed my mind into a numbed sense of nothingness. Obviously, our lives had become untwined, and now I was floating around in life without my mooring. After all, she was home and life to me. I heard a car come up the driveway. The doorbell rang, so I knew it was pizza delivery. He left, leaving me with a hot pizza, cold salad, and a bottle of chilled Chardonnay. The wine went into the cleaned refrigerator, the pizza into the warming oven, and the salads into 2 dishes in the refrigerator ready for serving. I heard my wife's car arrive. As the garage doors opened and shut, she was in the house. As I welcomed her with a warm hug and kiss, for a moment I forgot anything could be bad between us. Having her in my arms was my life and my home. The dark thoughts crashed back in, and I disentangled from her arms, pushing her away gently but definitely. Janet, I tried not to let my voice waver. I have a pizza dinner for us tonight. Go wash up as I serve it all up. What's the special event, John? She inquired with a twinkle in her eye. Just go wash up, Janet, I urged her. As I turned toward the kitchen, I checked for her latest credit card statement, still in my trousers pocket, to be sure I had it. We sat and enjoyed the pizza, salad, and wine. I poured a second glass for myself and offered her a fill-up, which she took. I rarely had a second glass, but tonight I felt the need. You are outdoing yourself, John, she giggled. You never have a second glass, and here you are, turning out to be a real alcoholic. She giggled and lightly kicked me under the table. We bantered lightly as we finished the meal. Let's clean up and have a coffee. Janet, I have a little light dessert and a subject for conversation. We cleaned the table, put the excess pizza into the oven, and corked the wine for the refrigerator. The coffee had brewed, and I produced some light little dolly cake squares. I knew these were her favorite dessert. I didn't particularly like them. They tasted too artificial for me but were perfect for tonight. I thought sweet on the outside. She liked them, but I was revolted by the inside taste. It reminded me of what might be coming in a moment or two. Usually, when we have a subject to discuss, we sit next to each other on the couch. This time, knowing it was going to be a confrontation, not a problem-solving discussion, I suggested we sit at the table again, facing each other. We sipped coffee as she dug into her tiny piece of sugar-coated cake. I had no taste for these and didn't even break one open with my fork. I just diddled with it, feeling increasingly nervous. Reaching into my pocket, I produced the envelope from her credit card bank. I took out the statement, unfolded it, and said, "This came today." I opened it. I have never done this before, but I guess a little voice was telling me to take a look at it. Janet, you have way overdrawn your account. I had an awful feeling as I flattened the statement out facing her and pointed to the weekly motel bills. I fear you have not overdrawn your credit card. It is our trust and marriage account that has been overdrawn. I looked at her intently. She looked at the statement. I had caught her red-handed. She is quick-witted but didn't have an immediate explanation. I continued, Janet, I checked your other monthly statements going back to January of this year. I can clearly see charges from this same motel almost weekly over the entire year. There are very suspicious charges also. I took a long breath and sat back in my chair, looking her straight in the eyes. I just want you to be honest with me about these. I have a right and need to know the truth. She took a long, slow breath and began. John, I want you to know that I love you very much. I also want to stay married to you. Yes, I have a lover. He is now a first-year resident at the university. We have fallen in love. She began to cry. At first, we just talked. He was a student on a junior preceptorship with the group where I work. At first, he reminded me physically so much of you 20 years ago when we first met. He made me feel young again. Things progressed. How much do you want to know tonight, John? Lots more. I spoke firmly. He comes from a broken family and never really had a mother. After his grade school years, I guess I became his surrogate mother for a while. Then we became like friends. Then the intimacies began. For the year, we have been frequent sexual partners. I taught him almost everything about sex. I brought experience, and he brought youth, vigor, and an aggressive style to our sex lives. Oh, John, I'm not sorry at all for what I'm doing. I just hope that you will be understanding. I need both of you in my life. I know how awful this sounds, but it is so awesome to me. My sex life has been so wonderful with him. He is an alpha male. He is a true dominant, and I have truly loved being his sub. You know that I like to be the aggressive one in the sex life you and I share. You never dominated me. You never hurt me or struck me or did anything even close to that. You never used nasty language when we made love. He calls me his witch and slut. When I am with him sexually, He owns my body and my heart. All these are an aphrodisiac to me. Now I expect you can understand that, but it's true. When he and I became lovers, he immediately became the dominant, and I had to submit. I was afraid at first, but then I learned to love being his truly submissive sub. The only thing I have refused him is to refuse sex to you. He demanded this, but I stood firm on that point. The only bad thing has been the cover-up on you. I never lied to you, but I never told you either. I have not left you for him, so I haven't broken our promises we made when we got married. I have been here for you for 20 years. She wasn't crying any longer. She was just explaining something to me, as if she had found a new dress that she loved and hadn't told me about. I had not expected her to just come forward and answer the question before I asked them. She was being upfront with me. Janet, has he been in our house? Have you been doing that with him here in my sanctuary? Yes, John, I didn't invite him. He demanded to come here and take me. He said this house is now his, and I belong to him. Of course, I don't actually belong to him all the time. It's only when we are together. I was seething. She had made me into a cuckold. I was heartbroken but had not given in, not by a long shot. No damn arrogant surgeon was going to do that. They may denigrate us docs, but I won't let him humiliate me with my family. No way was that going to happen. I almost spat these at her. My body tightened, and I glared in hatred at her for the first time in my life. I looked at her and reached out to take her hand across the table. If you break this off immediately, I will try my very best to keep our marriage intact. Will you do that? You must be forceful and truthful to him about never seeing him again alone for any reason. Will you call him right now, while I am on the phone with you, and tell him it is all over between you? Oh, John, please don't say that you don't know how much I love him and how much he loves me. I love you too. I need both of you. Janet. My voice took on a more threatening and angry tone. There is no option as far as I see it. You will do this or our marriage is over. As of tonight, I will not continue to share you sexually with anyone, male or female. You know how I have always felt about this. We have 20+ years and 2 children together. Are you going to throw these away? My life will be destroyed. I will be adrift in life without the only woman I have ever loved and trusted. Please tell me and show me that I am your real man. I waited, but she just shook her head, sadly, looking down at the table. I got up from the table. I put my hands under the table and lifted it up, turning it on top of her. She fell backward with the tabletop on top of her. She screamed in fright. I stomped off to the bedroom and finished packing in silence. I heard her pushing the table off her body. I went to the bedroom door and locked it. I didn't want to talk to her anymore. It took me only a few minutes to complete what I needed from the bedroom. I was seething in rage. Unlocking the door, I found her sitting on the floor across from the bedroom door waiting for me. She had been crying but had quit. I didn't offer to help her up. Walking past her, I told her I would be back in a few minutes to get a few things more from my den. The 2 suitcases, the hanging bag, and I made it to the garage and into my car. Returning to my den, I put my laptop into its carrying case, along with several external memory chips and a stack of CDs. Next came all my financial files, which I put into a cardboard box. I included files on the house in my car. I removed the side from my tower computer and removed the hard drive. Next came some of my more needed medical books. These went into the trunk. As I came back, Janet was still sitting on the floor in the hall where she had been sitting, as if in a trance, after pushing the table off her. I grabbed her and dragged her to the bedroom, which was a mess by now. I was not careful to pick up after myself, as I usually did. I pushed her onto the bed, then pulled her up to a sitting position. I stood in front of her. I intended to dominate her physically and emotionally, if at all possible. Janet, I am out of your life as of right now. You can have all you want of your new doctor lover boy. I hope he will take care of you as well as I have. I hope you don't do to him what you have done to me. I will find somewhere else to live. You will hear from a yet-to-be-found divorce lawyer in a few days. I have my cell phone and will listen to any messages you have for me. I won't promise to return your calls, and I don't plan to let you know where I am staying for the time being. Oh yeah, you can have the rest of the pizza and wine. My life is going to be filled with new wine. I will not tell you goodbye or good night, for good is not in my vocabulary when I think of you anymore. I turned and left her and my 20-some years of shared life and family. I found a motel for the night, then moved into a furnished mobile home. I did all the things that every recovering male does. The credit cards were canceled and reissued. I took her off my bank account. I took care of all the other financial things, including my will and IRA and 513C. With heaviness of heart, yet with my anger not yet fully controlled, I met with a divorce lawyer. He did nothing to encourage me. I had no proof, so I was going to lose big time. I told him I didn't care. Give her half of everything and all the equity in the house, with the stipulation that her lover would never be able to enjoy the house ownership. I would not pay alimony. That part was non-negotiable. Never more would I support her. She had her own business, and her lover was a doctor. He understood and started the papers. I asked him to give me the completed papers to serve on her. When he had filed them, Janet and I were recognized as legally separated. Upon the filing of the divorce papers, I continued to work and put my income into a third secret bank account. This made no sense really, as it could be discovered easily, but it made me feel better she would have to look for it. I was not going to cooperate at any level on anything regarding her. I called the kids and told them what had happened. I minced no words, giving them enough details to convince them I was right and she was totally wrong. They called her and told her they were divorcing her. She would not be their mother anymore. I didn't care if she was hurt. I called her parents and mine and told them the same true story in as much detail as they wanted. A week later, the divorce papers were filed, and I had my copy to take to her. My lawyer said he would formally serve her that evening at 8 p.m. I called Janet from my mobile home. She answered right off. "Janet, I am coming over tonight at 7:30 to talk. If you want to talk, this is going to be your opportunity. If you don't want to talk, then I'm coming over to talk to you anyway. John, you are welcome. This is your home and you belong here. Can I fix dinner for you?" "No, Janet, if we have coffee and some fruit, that will be enough." I hung up before she could say anything else. She was trying to say something, but I had no need to listen to her. I grabbed a 6-inch Subway and diet drink on the way that evening. I had the papers in my pocket. As I rang the doorbell, Janet opened the door, and I walked in. She did not try to hug or kiss me, which I thought was very unlike her, but we were separated, so maybe she was really done with me. I hurt but quickly recovered. "John, I have someone here who wants to meet you." I looked at a young man with a scraggly goatee and a sneering grin. He was easily 6 feet 4 inches and 230 pounds. Next to my 5 feet 2 inches wife, he towered over her and me too. I was only 5 feet 7 inches and a meager 145 pounds. I glared at him, for I knew who he was automatically. Janet had not said she wanted me to meet him, only that he wanted to meet me. I was physically afraid of him. Quickly, my mind turned to means of self-defense if needed. I had never boxed and knew nothing of the martial arts. I was a doctor, pure and simple. I helped people, not fought with them. I remembered the snub-nosed .38 caliber I kept under my old underwear in my bedroom. It should still be there. He approached me menacingly. "Who are you? And what are you doing in my house with my wife here tonight? Janet and I need to be alone to talk about difficult matters. So I'm asking you to leave quietly and peacefully now. John, this is Dr. Sparks. He demanded to be here tonight. I had no choice but to allow him to stay. You know of our relationship," Janet replied assertively. He kept walking toward me. He had not extended a hand, nor did I. We glared at each other. I backed to the wall as he advanced. My heart was pounding in fear. "You both must excuse me for a moment. I need to pee." I scurried down the hall to my bedroom. It had been recently used. There were ropes attached to the 4 corners of the bed. The sheets were messed. There was the smell of sex in the room. Janet had been having sex just before I arrived and wasn't about to leave without humiliating me. I vowed to myself that I would die or spend my life in prison before that would happen today. Quickly, I found my snub-nosed .38 and checked it. It had 6 rounds. I moved the safety to off and slid it in my right pocket. I returned to the front room. Both of them were seated on my couch. I looked at my watch and it was 5 minutes to 8. 5 more minutes until the deputy would arrive to serve the divorce papers. I wanted my timing to be perfect and was hoping the deputies would be also. Okay, Janet, you wanted your lover here, so here we go. I walked to the couch. He started to get up, but I shoved him back onto the couch. You had your invitation to leave, a-hole. Now get this right. You don't own me. You are not welcome here in my house. You do what I say. If you are ready to leave peacefully, then you have your last chance. I suggest you take it. He jumped up as I moved back rapidly to avoid him. So you are the little weak chicken who thinks he owns this beautiful piece of female, huh? She has had a real man screw her. That's me and she wants me. Look at me, woman, and tell me you want me. He glared at me, then looked at Janet. She sat there, her hands twitching, as her husband and lover glared at each other. Yes, I want you, Dr. Sparks, and I want John too. Don't call me Dr. Sparks. My name is Master to you now. Tell me you want me as your real man. I know Chicken here has smelled what used to be his bedroom. Tell me, which? Yes, Master, she faltered as she looked at me. A-hole, the exit door is to your right. Take it and live. You may not walk out of here alive otherwise. That is not a threat. It is a solemn promise. I glared at the hunk standing some 6 feet from me. I threw the divorce papers at Janet. You adulteress, you are served. These are divorce papers. You will soon be free of me. I looked at the a-hole. That's what you wanted, isn't it? Looking back at Janet, I gritted my teeth and said, You threw me away. You humiliated me. You lost your children. Your parents have disowned you. And all for a hunk of worthlessness standing over here. I nodded toward the a-hole. You wanted and loved being dominated. You wanted to be made into a slut. He will turn you into a common witch. I know his kind. They are arrogant. They think the world revolves around them. He will screw you silly and then throw you away. Then what will you have? I could see the burning anger in his eyes. Get out of my house. I yelled at him as he advanced on me. I backed up to the wall. I had nowhere else to go. I slipped my hands into my pants and fingered the gun. I would not fight him on his terms. My hands were useless and the source of my income. He was too arrogant to give any thought that his hands might be injured. My right index finger slid around the trigger, but I didn't pull it or point it at him. I did not want him to know that I had protection. You slime ball of a chicken, he growled at me. You are mincemeat. This is my house and my woman. Now you are going to be my man. He smiled a snarl and took another step closer to me. My heart was racing. I wanted him to touch me first. I sneaked a look at Janet, but she did not come to my defense. She sat rigid as in a trance. Janet? I stared over at her for a moment. Call 911 right now and ask for an ambulance and the police on a stat basis. Slimeball here is going to the hospital or the morgue. I looked back at him and sneered. Okay, elephant balls, better leave now. This is the third and final warning. You are trespassing. If you touch me, you commit assault, and if you hurt me, you commit battery. That means jail time. So what will it be? I am in charge here. Get out or get hurt badly. Then I whispered to him, You are all bluster. When a real man like me stands up to a slimeball like you just melt like a snowball in July. You are pathetic, you chicken. I was gonna tie you up like my witch loves. Then screw you. But now I've decided to beat your butt and balls. If you have any, then screw what's left. Provided there's anything left to screw, I'm going to have your balls for dinner. He balled up his fists and jabbed a right at me. I jerked my head to the left, but he caught me with a glancing blow to my left eye. His fist hit the wall and broke a hole in it. I felt the sting, but he mostly missed. From there on, things were a blur. I pointed the gun up from within my pocket and pulled off a single round. The blast deafened me, or was it his left fist hitting me square on the nose? As I pulled the trigger again, I had kept both hands in my pockets. I dropped to the floor, mostly unconscious. I heard the door break open as a brown-clad officer entered with Janet's formal divorce papers falling to the floor as he pulled his service revolver. Young Dr. Sparks lay partly on my rug, but spread mostly across the table that was last used by me to throw over Janet. He was screaming obscenities and holding his crotch. I heard sirens approaching as I lay on the floor, wandering in and out of consciousness. I woke up in the emergency room I frequently staffed. I was receiving VIP treatment. A hole was in surgery. I was admitted to the hospital for observation. Apparently, as I fell, I had also hit my head and suffered a concussion. The hospital didn't want to lose one of their ER docs. I was out of the hospital in 24 hours, feeling well, except for sore muscles and a badly bruised and broken nose that had been straightened and bandaged. Mouth breathing is a bugger, but I would be free of the nostril stuffing in another few days when the swelling began to go down. All in all, I fared pretty well. My ego was intact, I thought. Not a bad day for a chicken cuck. I grinned as I left in a taxi for my mobile home. Janet was served. Young Dr. Sparks lost most. He took a .38 slug at close range, hitting him dead on and just below the pelvic bone, which destroyed his future abilities for intimate functions and having children. He had to have a diversionary colostomy and extensive rectal, pelvic, and bladder surgery. I smiled as I heard of his injuries. He lost a testicle too. He may never urinate normally again and most likely will never defecate from his rectum. Erections for him were a part of his past. I was satisfied. I thought again, yes, not a bad day's work for a cuck chicken. I had to appear before the grand jury but was not indicted. Janet and the deputy testified for me. I set up a confrontation with Janet, but she upped the ante. I tried to avoid the ensuing conflict with her lover but could not. A man is allowed to defend himself from serious bodily harm in his own house in our state. The divorce went on as anticipated. I gave the house to Janet with the stipulation that young a-hole Dr. Sparks could never set foot in it again and would never inherit it or have any financial interest in it. Ultimately, he lost his medical license. Also, Janet's demons set her free of me and her family. I pay no alimony. To her credit, Janet would not allow her lawyer to ask for alimony. She was still a cocky lady. I could not stand to stay in the same community as her. I would see her, and it would light up old feelings of anger, disgust, loneliness, and yes, happy memories. So here I am in beautiful, semi-rural southwest England alone with my hurts and memories. The phone rang. It was my son's weekly call. It was good to hear their voices and appreciate the Southern American drawl. I had been here only a short while, and I was already homesick. Then I remembered I have no home. I divorced her,